that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title, because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal. And we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beams likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by CB&S Bank. Bank anywhere, at any time with CB&S Bank's digital solutions. Managing your finances has never been so easy. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Before today's second-round matchup for Alabama women's basketball against Maryland in the NCAA tournament, here are thoughts from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Christy Curry.
Well, we've got to find ways to put 4 in double figures. We've got to defend the glass. You know, we come out and play the way that we're capable. We put ourselves in a position to get back home. And there's no question we're motivated regardless of where it would be. But there's some special incentive here. I know our players are going to do everything they can to represent the front of their chests, and how fun would that be? And it's a great opportunity for us. You know, when we see Maryland as of late, they lost the first round of their tournament. We did as well. You know, they had a day yesterday against a really good Norfolk State team, close game, just like we had a close game. So it's going to come down to your will. You know, players this time of year make plays. It's not so much about the X's and O's. We're going to stay fundamentally disciplined in who we are principle-wise.
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
We've got you covered this afternoon for Alabama against Maryland in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Our radio coverage from College Park, Maryland will begin at 3:45 p.m., leading up to tip-off at 4 p.m. You can listen to the game throughout our radio network as well as the Varsity Network app. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by CB&S Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you go. We're back. We're live. It's brand new. We are literally live on a Monday morning, coming to you from Bill Penney Toyota Service Department, hanging out here Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., they can service your vehicle's needs. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed on this Monday. 256-576-4977. That's how you can join us on the program this morning as we just get you caught up from everything that happened over the weekend. And really, it kind of all centers around the big old basketball tournament going on. NCAA tournament cranking up, Sweet 16 finalized. And for those that were questioning the strength of the SEC, and though there were people questioning it because of the early exits and departures, but seven of the 14 teams have advanced to the Sweet 16. Now, Ole Miss was the last one to do, and when Ole Miss punched their ticket, they broke the record set by the ACC back in 2016. The ACC had the record at 6 for most for one conference. The SEC has rewritten that book and has advanced 7 teams to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tremendous weekend for the SEC. You know, when you get half of your teams into the Sweet 16, I know they got off to a little bit of a slow start, but what some of the idiot media, you know, some of the national guys like Stewart, the liberal Mandel, and some of these other morons who, because underdogs lost, For example, Georgia against Gonzaga. I think I certainly didn't have Georgia winning that game. So there was a few underdogs. It wasn't a shock that Mississippi State lost to Baylor. I mean, a few of these losses, if you have 14 teams in, some of them are going to lose. Okay. So Vanderbilt losing, they were a 10 seed. They lost a very close one to St. Mary's, even though I had Vanderbilt winning that game in my bracket. So it wasn't surprising that some of them lost, but I thought they flexed as the tournament went on and for the weekend. And when half of your teams are amongst the final 16 and it almost takes up half the field, there's nothing more you can say. Certainly, the Big 12 and the Big 10 had good runs. They got 4 in apiece. But I just thought the SEC overall, especially the top 5 and, the ones that really flex, Florida, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, even Kentucky, because I had Kentucky advancing because I thought they got a good draw and they had Lamont Butler on the floor. Now, surprisingly, Scott, of those Big 5 that advanced that, were so dominant during the regular season, the one that was the luckiest to survive was Florida, who people thought was playing the best basketball. I know we had some folks wondering if UConn would just get dominated by Florida because the way the Gators have been playing.
I didn't think they'd get dominated.
No, I didn't either. Now, I didn't expect it to go down to the exact wire like it did.
Right.
But you're talking about a 2-time defending national champion with Dan Hurley coaching that team. They were going to give you their best shot. And I thought Florida, because they've been playing at such a high clip, Scott, we've been talking about it. They've been blowing people out.
Yep.
There hadn't been a lot of game pressure. This was the first game pressure they faced. And you and I both know the NCAA tournament's just different. There's a different vibe to it. There's a different feel. There's a lot of finality because one bad game in the 6 and you could go home. Okay. And we watched there was the best game of the weekend was Colorado State and Maryland. And you saw that game go back and forth.
It's only fitting it happened on the same day because I think before that, the Florida UConn game was probably the best game of the tournament. And then the nightcap, though, you get this one, which overtook the Florida UConn game.
Yeah, and also I think Oregon and Arizona was a really good game. There was a few really good games, but the one thing that you just said, you're in these kind of games, your stars have to step up, and that's what happened with Florida. Walter Clayton, when they were being pressured, when UConn had a lead. They executed, and then down the stretch, Clayton made some really tough shots, tough threes, tough twos, going to the free throw line and converting. Because I thought down the stretch, Elijah Martin missed a dunk that was wide open. I just was wondering. I was like, okay. And then Florida did not shoot free throws well down the stretch of regulation. That's why UConn really had a chance to win the game because they were not making free throws. And so you thought to yourself, are they going to allow themselves to get nipped at the very end? But they didn't. They made the free throws down the stretch in the final 30 seconds. And then, like I said, Walter Clayton, and these are big time shots. These are shots with not a lot of room. You didn't have a lot of space. He's just been doing that all year. That's what you have to have. And I said this on another show this morning. Don't forget that Dan Hurley's won 2 straight titles, and Todd Golden going into this tournament had never won an NIT postseason game or an NCAA tournament game. So he's still, basically building his legacy, so to speak. And then I thought down the stretch too, you also have to have a bounce go your way. There was an offensive rebound that ricocheted off a couple people. Elijah Martin was able to secure it and then get a dunk. That's just what has to happen. You got to get a bounce of some sort.
Yeah.
And I just thought Florida got that bounce, and then they've moved on. And so the SEC's got 7, and we'll see how many they can get to the Elite 8. I think you and I were talking about that. We were talking about, for this to be successful, what does the SEC have to do? And I said, well, I think they need to get at least 5 or 6 in the Sweet 16, which they've gotten more than that. I would say 4 to the Elite 8 and then a couple to the Final 4, and then it's a complete success to me. So we'll see if that happens. They've still got a chance to do that. And certainly I thought the SEC proved that they were the best league, at least in the first weekend.
Well, for the first time in the history of the NCAA tournament, Sweet 16 made up of only power conferences, the
That's
SEC,
right.
the Big 10, the Big 12, and the ACC. Now, you got to go all the way back. Now, we say the first time. Go back to 1975. That is when they added the Sweet 16 round. So you go back to 75. And then in 1985 is when the tournament actually expanded to 64 teams. So you go, when I say history, I mean, we're not all the way back into the 40s and all that stuff. Remember, the NIT was the tournament that decided our national champion back then. But it's first time since 2007, though, that there will be no seed 11th or lower going into the Sweet 16. The lowest seeded team going into the Sweet 16 belongs to Arkansas at number 10.
Mm-hmm.
That is the lowest seeded team going into the Sweet 16. So,
and I was asked, did anybody surprise you that got from the SEC that got to the Sweet 16? And there was two of them to me that surprised me. Because I didn't have Ole Miss in there, even though I respect Chris Beard. I had my biggest Cinderella was Lipscomb. I thought Lipscomb had a chance, and they got off to a really good start against Iowa State, but they couldn't maintain it. And I thought, Lipscomb would have had a chance against Ole Miss. Didn't happen. Beard's team just absolutely dismantled your favorite squad, the Iowa State.
Yeah, I was happy to see that one.
Yeah, I mean, the game wasn't really as close. I mean, you got to give Iowa State credit for continuing to fight, but they were down 26 points with under 8 minutes to go. I mean, they were really getting hammered. And again, there was some room for error, so to speak, for what Ole Miss was able to do against the Cyclones to eliminate them. And I was surprised about Arkansas. Okay, I had Arkansas beating Kansas, but I did not think that Arkansas would beat Rick Pitino and St. John's. But St. John's absolutely could not shoot. I mean, it was unreal. Neither team was a great could shoot really, but Arkansas did a nice job. And I think the strength of the SEC helped them in that regard because there's nobody left from the Big East, including UConn and
they're also
John's
getting a couple pieces back to that raw. I mean, they had some guys play that were in and out of the lineup during the regular season. So, I mean,
and again, they still didn't have Abdou Thiro, though. And they did get Boogie Flan back. And Boogie did a nice job, even though he did not start. He played more minutes than you would think. And I thought he played good basketball. So you're right. That was a key return for the Hogs. And they were able to get that one done. So those were the two, though, Arkansas and Ole Miss, that I was a little bit surprised because those top five, that was the five best teams in the SEC. That's why I said 5 to 6. I felt like those five would get through, but then they had two others do it. And so the SEC is still doing a lot of damage. And I just felt like overall that the SEC had a chance to make a good run, and they've done that. If they've done so, I think they're the best league in the country, and they've got a chance to continue to flex a little bit going into the next weekend.
All right, we got to recap Alabama. We got to recap Auburn. Both of them big wins. Auburn on Saturday, Alabama yesterday. Both of them into the Sweet 16. And if you're keeping track at home and you're writing all these records down for only the third time in history, and for the first time since going back to back in 1985 and 1986, both Alabama and Auburn have made it to the Sweet 16. Your tip-off times will be they will look like this. Alabama and BYU will play Thursday at 6:09. You'll be able to dial in CBS and 97.7 ESPN The Zone for that one. And then Auburn and Michigan will play on Friday approximately 8:39 because Ole Miss and Michigan State will play first from Atlanta, and then Auburn will be the nightcap there in Atlanta. Both of those games will be on CBS, so the Auburn game will be on CBS, and I imagine we'll be able to carry the Auburn game for you as well, hopefully on Friday night. So it'll be Alabama and Auburn Thursday and Friday right here. But both of them through to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, we're the home for March Madness this year. That's really exciting, and it's great for the state of Alabama, not to mention UAB is still alive in the NIT. So you got 3 teams still alive, in our state playing in major tournaments, and Alabama and Auburn only for the third time ever, back-to-back years in 85 and 86. And now this year, tremendous. I thought Auburn, they did a nice job of methodically putting Creighton away. They were down 2 at halftime, but Creighton's a really well-coached team. And I thought, it wasn't Jonai Broom's best game. And then it was huge to lose Chad Baker-Mazara for the last, I want to say 10, 11 minutes, 12 minutes of the game. He had a hip situation, but
he checked back in the last couple minutes,
but he was just definitely, he had a towel over his head. He could not, he was not himself. But by that time, Auburn had basically put the game away. And it was basically because of 3 people. Dylan Cardwell did a yeoman's job being able to switch. He was able to guard both on the perimeter and, of course, inside on the interior. And then I thought the 2 guards, Denver Jones, the pride of Buckhorn High School, as Nathan King tweeted out. I mean, I put on his X account. He had a really, really good game and good second half. And then Tahad Pettiford. I mean, he hit a little bit of a wall in Nashville, didn't play well in their loss to Tennessee. And I didn't think played great in the first half, when they were able to win their first round game against Alabama State. But I thought the second half, he helped put Alabama State away emphatically. And then he was really, really tough. You just heard Seth Greenberg this morning comparing him to Kenny Anderson. He was amazing, I thought, the entire game against Creighton. And he was basically the closer, and Auburn was able to win 82-70 and just sort of methodically put that away.
I tell you what, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll hear from Nate Oates. We'll hear from Bruce Pearl from over the weekend. We'll recap Alabama's win yesterday against St. Mary's. We'll get to your phone calls. We've only just begun. It's Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Just got a new wreck, Winchester and Moore's Mill. That one's coming in as an injury type. Had Martin Luther King and Pulaski Pike reported with injury, and got one in Athens, 72 and Shaw Road that still may be trying to clear. RESPECT is coming. Shoal Scholar Dollars is bringing the celebration of the music of Aretha Franklin to UNA on Monday, March 31st. Tickets at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a 5th-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
We aren't a winning school. We are a championship school, and we make legends. Join the Crimson Tide as they look to continue to rise to the top of the NCAA basketball mountain. Every game, all season, right here on your home for Alabama basketball, the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Can't get a ticket? Never miss a second of Huntsville Havoc hockey.
It's to Alger. Alger back to Ruffin. Over to Buster. He got a call. Buster Larson with the winner.
With the Havoc Zone. Only on 97.7 ESPN.com and the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Alabama in action yesterday, taking on St. Mary's. Here's a little Nate Oates thought after the game.
I thought we kind of wore them out. Then they had to call timeout there in the second half with like 9 minutes and some change, if I remember right, where, it's probably a smart timeout. He's coached a lot of games, kind of rest his guys, and you get immediate timeout a minute later. I thought we were able to get into their lack of depth a little bit. And with the pace that they typically play, I don't think that ever really affects them. But, we looked at possessions. I think the last time they had I think they've only had 270 possession games all year. And one was against a non-division one was against Akron, I think the third game of the year in November. So we were able to get it to 70 possessions, not 80 like we like to get, but against a team like that, you're kind of winning the tempo war. If you can get it to 70, first team to score over 80 on them and over 100 plus games. So I think our depth, our tempo did get to them, but man, they're tough. They're physical. They end up with 15 0 boards, which is way too many, but their offensive rebounding rate was 36%. It's a lot higher than what we wanted, but they've, we ended up winning the second chance points. So I did tell our guys going in, just because you give up an old board, there's, like in our practices, we'll give points for old boards. So there's no points for an old board in the game. There's only points if the ball goes through the rim. So we're going to give up some old boards. We're not going to pitch a shutout. They're that good. Once we give up an old board, we got to get stopped. So
that's Nate Oates making reference to the fact that St. Mary's hadn't given up 80 points in a long time, and Alabama does do it. They become the first opponent to reach 80 since 2022, a span of 105 games against St. Mary's.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought going into the game against Robert Morris, which was, more difficult than it probably should have been. Alabama put the game away finally in the final 3 minutes and won that game 90-81, mainly thanks to Grant Nelson, who they were trying to rest. They didn't want to play him, but they had to put him in with under, 8 minutes to go because of the flow of the game. It just wasn't, they weren't getting stops the way they wanted to. It was a one possession game, and Grant Nelson came in and immediately started affecting winning and helped them win that game. This time I felt like I thought the match number in that game was 85. They got to 90. In this game, it was 80, which they hit right on the button. And I thought, if they could, push the pace enough and be efficient enough offensively to get to 80 points, I felt like the St. Mary's would struggle to win the game. And I thought Alabama did. I thought it was really, honestly, when you go back and look at their totality of their season, and they're 27-8 now, I thought it was their most complete performance of the year, because St. Mary's was 29-5. Okay, this was a really good basketball team that dominated the West Coast Conference. They beat Gonzaga twice. They didn't win the tournament final against the Zags, but they still beat them 2 times, and they really ran roughshod through that league. And so I just felt like Alabama first needed to rebound, which they did. They did a really nice job. They gave up some offensive rebounds in the second half, but I thought for the most part they controlled the glass throughout the game. And then the only reason it was as close as it was at halftime was because of the turnovers. Alabama had some live ball turnovers. I think at one time they had 8, and St. Mary's had none.
Right.
And St. Mary's was able to turn a few of those into some fast break points. But Alabama forced 6 turnovers in the second half, which was big. And I thought they were efficient offensively when they didn't turn it over the whole game. They attacked the rim, and they held St. Mary's only 3 threes. St. Mary's only made 3 threes. Alabama didn't go crazy from 3, and Sears didn't make any. But I believe they made 7 or 8 in the game. They shot a pretty decent percentage, and they were able to just throughout the game, they shot over 50%. And they were able to be efficient offensively, finish at the rim. And I thought Cliff Amore was huge. I thought he was big in both games. I thought he did a really nice job on the backboards against St. Mary's especially. And then I thought Grant Nelson, he had 12. And overall, they had 6 guys in double figures. They had a very balanced score sheet, and it was tough for, St. Mary's to cover everyone. And I thought Alabama just – they use their depth, as Coach Oates just said, to wear them down and win 80-66 over a really good basketball team.
St. Mary's really only plays 7 people.
Yeah,
and they played 8, but their 8th person was barely. Really, you don't even really count how much they played because that 8th person didn't play a ton at all. So St. Mary's only plays 7. Alabama did use that depth. Mark Sears, by the way. He is now 3rd on the all-time scoring list at Alabama, 1,910 career points for Mark Sears. That puts him at number 3 on the scoring list. So,
and don't forget, he scored 1,000 points at Ohio, but that doesn't count at Alabama. This is just the 3 years he's been with the Crimson Tide.
Yes,
that just shows you the clip that he has scored at. And he didn't have a huge scoring game against St. Mary's, but he did a nice job of driving to the rim in the second half and finishing. And he did a really good job in the first game against Robert Morris of getting to the free throw line.
All right, so that was Nate Oates after their win. Here is Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl after the Tigers win on Saturday over Creighton.
Very proud of my team. We played Auburn basketball. We played like the number 1 team in the country. We acted like the number 1 team in the country. We prepared like the number 1 team in the country. We talked a little bit about game 1 and not giving the kind of effort and energy that was required, and not really trusting one another, sharing it, and the sacrifices that need to be made. Tonight, we put all that behind us. And the guys did a phenomenal job on both ends of the floor. My congratulations to Creighton on an incredible year. They have a wonderful coach. They've got some tremendous seniors. Ashworth and the big fella just had great careers. But this guy sitting right there in the middle, Denver Jones, I've been telling everybody he's one of the best defensive guards in all of college basketball, and he proved it tonight with the effort and energy that he put forth, and obviously making it really hard for their best player to get any kind of open looks.
All right, that's Bruce Pearl. And look, on Friday when we were at Metro Diner, we were talking about Auburn, and we talked about just how much of a lackluster, I guess you could say, performance they had against Alabama State. You look, though, and there's lots of times. You go back when Auburn made their first Final Four run with Bruce Pearl. Their opening round game was a war. They were lucky to get a win in that one. You look at a lot of these teams that are left in this tournament, those first-round games sometimes can be some of the hardest games to play. Alabama, Robert Morris. I mean, it wasn't a cakewalk for the Tide and Robert Morris. Those first-round games can be tough.
Yeah, first and second. I mean, there's no guarantees in this tournament. It's why it's the greatest event in all of sports, no question about it. And so there are no guarantees. You have to show up ready to play, and you have to, and then you have to make plays. You have to have guys step up, like Bruce Pearl just said. And you have to understand that. Look, you got to put everything. You have to play as one. You can't worry about individual accolades. You have to play as a team. And I thought Auburn did that the second half. I thought they really stepped up when Chad Baker-Mazara got hurt. I thought other players stepped up. And then I thought even when you're a superstar like Jonai Broome, you wouldn't be there without him. And he was still solid, but he didn't have one of his All-American level games, but you still had Todd Pettiford, you still had Denver Jones, and you still had some guys step up and make shots. And in the first round, the one that really, I thought they really had some other guys step up and make shots and do a nice job. So because again, Bruce Pearl will even tell you, he didn't, even though they won by 20, he didn't think they played great against Alabama State, but they still found a way to win and get the job done.
All right, 7:27 on a Monday morning, 256-576-4977. You can join the program and talk about everything that happened over the weekend in the NCAA basketball tournament. Plenty of madness, but I mean, you look at it, we talked about it from the beginning. There's nobody 11 and lower going into the Sweet 16. So I don't know if you could say we've had the madness that we've had in the past. I don't know if you can say that, but but it's been entertaining. I'll just say that. I just don't know if we have that.
We hadn't had the buzzer beaters and things of that nature until Colorado State and in Maryland. It was a heck of a game. That's probably the first game we've had go down to the absolute final buzzer, but it's still been, some really good basketball, and it's setting up to be a great Sweet 16 round because there's so many heavyweights left. You talked about it.
Yes.
10 seed Arkansas is the lowest seed left. So we'll see, but and they're not, now that they're in the Sweet 16, it's Arkansas. I don't care what they're seeded. They played in the best league in the country. And so I think you're definitely going to see some outstanding heavyweight matchups coming up starting on Thursday. You talked about Alabama playing Thursday, then Auburn will play Friday, but there's going to be some outstanding games, and it's going to create some outstanding buzz. No question about that.
All right, I tell you what, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll run down the rest of the SEC's Sweet 16 matchups.
We got Christy Curry joining us from the University of Alabama at 7:30. She will be joining us.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's going to be joining us as we're going to have the NCAA tournament on our station today at 4 o'clock. The University of Alabama will be playing Maryland with a chance to go to Birmingham. Christy Curry will be up next here on Talkin' Ball.
Okay, here we go.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Expect to sit under a mostly clear sky for this Monday night. Temperatures going to be falling into the mid and upper 40s. Looking ahead into our Tuesday, plenty of sunshine, no rain in the forecast. High temperatures warming nicely into the low 70s for the afternoon, potentially seeing wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck or a disabled vehicle. It's about halfway between Greenbrier and County Line in the number 1 lane. Major backup of traffic there. Martin Luther King and Pulaski Pike had injuries, should be clearing it shortly. 72 and Shaw Road in Limestone County still may be trying to clear. And we had Winchester and Moores Mill reported with an injury, but it looks like they have now cleared that one. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
We aren't a winning school. We are a championship school, and we make legends. Join the Crimson Tide as they look to continue to rise to the top of the NCAA basketball mountain. Every game, all season, right here on your home for Alabama basketball, the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio and have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
Flying nonstop from Huntsville is a breeze on Breeze Airways. They're nice people flying nice people to nice places on really nice planes. Let's be direct. Nonstop from Huntsville to the places you want to go. Las Vegas, Orlando, or Tampa starting at $49. It's time for a weekend getaway or a long overdue week away. Time to check in using the convenient Breeze app and check out. What are you waiting for? Book today at flybreeze.com. That's flybreeze.com. Breeze Airways. Seriously nice.
Basketball was originated in America in 1891.
Filling out and busting brackets since the 1970s.
Let this be a reminder to you all that this organization will not tolerate failure.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. Coming up later today, 4 o'clock, Alabama women are going to take on Maryland there in College Park. Alabama, a 90-minute practice yesterday, getting ready for this one. And it's kind of ironic how the all twist and ties learn. Maryland knocked off Norfolk State 82-69. After that ball game, Norfolk State loses their head coach, Larry Vickers. Larry Vickers is the new head coach of the Auburn women's basketball program. But today it's Alabama and Maryland from College Park. And 97.7 ESPN, there's almost another game for you at 4 o'clock. As it is a round of 32, Alabama trying to get back to the Sweet 16 for the first time since the 97-98 campaign.
Yeah, and we've already seen South Carolina advance to Birmingham with a 64-53 win over Indiana yesterday. Kentucky loses in overtime by a point to Kansas State in Lexington, and then we saw Ole Miss beat Baylor on the road. Tennessee beats Ohio State. And now the University of Alabama today. It's going to be a big day for the SEC. Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, LSU, and Mississippi State all taking the court. But we're going to be closely in, just following this Alabama contest that we're going to be honored to carry. It'll be 3:45 pregame with Roger Hoover on the call as Christy Curry's Crimson Tide try to get back to the Sweet 16 for the first time, as you said, Scott, since the late 90s. And to top it all off, they'd get to play at home in Birmingham, which is in their backyard, which would be amazing. And they had a very nice first-round win over Green Bay. And Christy Curry, the head coach of the Crimson Tide, has been kind enough to join us live from College Park, Maryland, before this game this afternoon as the Crimson Tide look to try to return to the Sweet 16. Coach, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Hey, we really appreciate you joining us. A great win for your team, Coach, and I know you made mention of it in post-game, how hard it is to win these games. I think people need to understand, first of all, it's very difficult to make the NCAA tournament and then to win games like this because, as I told Roger Hoover on Friday, I had a chance to watch that game on that afternoon in the Horizon League, the Green Bay playing Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne. So I knew Green Bay was a very skilled team, and they gave your team all you wanted, but a really nice performance to pull away in the second half by your squad.
Yeah, really proud of our kids. You know, Green Bay's really talented. They've won 22 straight. They had 7 seniors. And, it's really tough because they don't make very many mistakes. And, now we get to turn our attention to a different Maryland team who also is very seasoned and very talented. And, it's that time of year you embrace the challenge, and we're excited for the opportunity and going to do our very best to get a win here tonight on their home floor and get back to Birmingham.
We were talking about it earlier in the show, Coach, of just how hard these opening round games are when it comes to the NCAA tournament. And I mean, you coaching them, how difficult or how tough is it to face these opening round games to get the tournament? Sometimes these are the hardest ones to play.
Well, they really are, and there's so much more parity. You look up and, everybody's really good this time of year. The margin for error is really small. You hope that being on someone's home floor, they feel a little more pressure. Obviously, the women's game, we still have home court advantage in some situations. But I wish we would move all of our games to where it was not a home court situation. But we're in a time today where we're in this situation, and hopefully we can step up and, be very good. When we've been very good, we've beaten a lot of folks, and we'll have to be at the top of our game today.
Coach, you mentioned that getting away. Has the women's basketball, has it evolved enough to where we can do this? Because we talked about this ironically last week, that it was about time for the women's basketball to be at neutral sites.
Well, I just think there's so much, the game is growing. Support for the game is growing. So many more little girls are playing, and women's sports, it's a great time to seize that opportunity. When you feel like when you work so hard to get to the NCAA tournament, it's tough to be on someone else's home floor. And, I think that's something we got to continue to look at. Hopefully in the future that will evolve.
Well, and Coach, I know it's a challenge your team's embracing, because certainly your program was very, very close. And I know you talked about this goal before the season started, and even during the year, that the young ladies wanted to try to get home court advantage for the first time since the late 90s, since around 99, where Alabama was on their home floor playing. And I know you felt just probably a win or two short of that goal. But at the same time, when the brackets were announced, when you were sent to College Park, they did give you the carrot of, if you win these two games and you've taken the first step against Green Bay, if you win today against Maryland, you are in Birmingham, which would be a tremendous, I think, accomplishment for the program. We saw a couple years ago the support the men got when they were in Birmingham, and what these ladies would get as well. That would be a tremendous accomplishment, I think, if you could win today.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, it's definitely added motivation. We've got players that played in the Legacy Arena. I guess Sarah Ashley being won a couple of state championships. Actually was at those games and watched her there. I think it would be really special for our older kids to have the opportunity to get back home and get back home for our fan base and everything that we're trying to build a program. I think the thing is the progress we've made. These kids have worked so hard, and have that opportunity would be really cool, without a doubt. We've just got to make sure for 40 minutes that we play Bama ball tonight, do the things we're capable of doing, and play the way we're capable, and we give ourselves that opportunity.
You had a great performance from Zy Green and Leonai. I mean, they combined for 45 points in the opening round win against Green Bay?
Yeah. I thought that Sarah Ashley really facilitated, found both of them. Near had a triple-double, did so many other things, Maybe it wasn't her best scoring day, but the reason those two had a big day was because Sarah Ashley drew so much attention. I think that Sarah Ashley, Essence Cody, Zay, Carly Weathers, Nye, we've got to find 4 of those 5 that can get to double figures tonight.
Yeah, and I thought when Sarah Ashley, I mean, she had 8 assists. That's tremendous. I know she's been a big-time scorer, been really your leading scorer most of the season, your best player, first-team All-SEC. But even though she didn't, score, she only had 9 points and didn't have a great shooting game, the rest of it was really good. You talked about the 7 rebounds, the 8 assists, and she was able to, for the most part, stay out of big-time foul trouble. So she stayed on the floor. And then, as we know, Leonai, the greatest three-point shooter in Crimson Tide history, and then Zay Green, the transfer that you got, and y'all have done such a great job in the transfer portal. But when she has played at a high level to give you Nye Green and Sarah Ashley Barker, you guys have been really hard to defend.
We have, and we're hoping that our big 3 tonight will, be better than their big 3. It's going to be a great game. It's going to come down. You mentioned foul trouble. We'll have to stay out of foul trouble. We'll have to be disciplined defensively, keep the ball out of the paint. We've got to keep them away from the rim. They're phenomenal, but they're also so much like a big SEC team. We've seen the Ole Misses. We've beaten the LSUs. We're prepared for this. I mean, we're built for this because of our league. And I think that tonight we have to draw from the SEC and the times that we've been through with that, because that's what a Maryland team is.
Yeah, a Maryland team led by Brenda Freeze, no stranger to success in these tournament runs. She's got a national championship under her belt. What is something that Maryland does very well that you're going to have to try to stop tonight?
Well, they're going to rebound the ball. They're outstanding on the offensive glass, very similar to Ole Miss and LSU, South Carolina, Mississippi State. And they do a phenomenal job of dominating the paint and paint points and straight line drives. And if they miss that first one, they're looking to get the second one. So we're going to have to protect the paint and play inside out. They obviously shoot the three very well with Tibiasso and Smerkel at the number one and number two. So they're very balanced. There's a reason why they've had a great year. And they've consistently done a really good job with their program. Great respect for Brenda and how she's done it. Phenomenal resources here. And it'll be a great challenge, a lot of fun. Should be a really fun game tonight.
It should be. And then talk about Christabel and Carly. They both had 10 rebounds apiece as well. I mean, that was huge in the controlling the glass against Green Bay. And you're going to have a group effort against Maryland tonight, Coach.
No doubt. Christabel Azumo come off the bench and really has been a spark force on both sides of the ball. It's the little things offensively. She does such a great job with her screening angles and crashing the offensive glass and creating extra possessions. And then on the defensive end, the physicality that she can bring, a little undersized, but can really help us inside at the 5 spot tonight and protect the boards for us. And Carly's just our glue player. She's the unsung hero. When you look up and she's got 10 and 10 against Green Bay, a double-double, she's going to get a lot of open looks tonight. I feel like, she could have a big night. It's really going to make a big difference for us, and we want her to shoot every open shot.
We talked about how deep the men's SEC run has been right now, but with success today, the SEC women can have a ton of teams going into the Sweet 16, Coach, as well. And I'd have to imagine, you're sitting here thinking, this is Maryland, but man, this regular season during the SEC has to pay off and be ready for games like this.
Oh, absolutely. It's like I told our players, it's a perfect example of what we've been through 16 times. And I don't feel like Maryland's been through this, 18 times in the Big Ten. You look at our league yesterday, and we have 9 out of 32 teams that have advanced. That's incredible. 9 teams. And so, the opportunity we have to take those lessons that we've learned, both positive and in the areas we can improve, head into tonight. We've been there, done that. Tonight we have to be, at our best, an LSU experience, and we've got to be able to be ready to go, draw from the positives we've had.
Well, and Coach, also, you talked about the future of your program as well. Since we last spoke to you when you came to Huntsville and had such a positive experience against Alabama A&M, there's a great crowd, a lot of energy in the building for the Alabama women's basketball team and for A&M supporting both those programs. Your team won a very impressive game. Since that time, Scott and I have had a chance to, get to know Ace Austin really, really well. We watched her win a 3rd straight state championship, and she's had an unprecedented career. I know you're very excited about her coming into your program because you talked about continuing to grow it, and your recruiting has continued to improve every year. How excited are you to bring someone of her caliber into your program?
Well, we're really excited about Ace. Obviously she's one of the best to ever play in Alabama high school history. But not only that, she's just one of the best people, and her character, her work ethic, who she is, how she was raised. She's the epitome of what you want your point guard to be about. And, she's going to be young, but I expect her to do great things early in our program. And we're going to do the very best job that we can to help her come along and develop. And can't wait for her to get to T-Town in June, that's for sure. But she has been so fun to watch. Every time I go down to Spring Garden, it's like I feel like I'm walking in a Hoosiers gym. It's just an incredible atmosphere, an incredible story, and her dad Ricky and mom Dana, and what they've done for Spring Garden as far as the basketball piece, but more importantly, just who they are as people. This young lady's unique, and I hope that every Alabama fan out there will support her and continue to support our program because she's special.
Yeah. And then tonight, you guys, again, at 4:00 our time, you have a chance to do something special, and that is get a chance to get back to the Sweet 16.
Well, we appreciate the support this morning. Appreciate y'all very, very much.
Well, and Coach, before you go, in your mind, as I know you've been breaking down Maryland and Brenda Freeze, what does your team need to do to win this game this afternoon or in early evening and advance to Birmingham against South Carolina?
Well, we got to come out and be aggressive. We got to win the aggressive war, and we can't be passive and timid. And that starts with defending the glass and defending Maryland in transition. We defend the glass, we get our transition game going. So I think it's going to be paint points, protecting the paint, transition buckets. And we know we're at our best when we can get out and play fast. And coming out and being aggressive is going to be key. And balance,
Well,
we got to be balanced. We're excited.
We're super excited too. I mean, it'd be so great for our game and for the women's game in our state to have Alabama playing in Birmingham in front of a great crowd and having a chance to compete against a program of the caliber of South Carolina. This is a huge opportunity for the young ladies. I know they've earned everything they've gotten this year. It's been an outstanding year for the Crimson Tide women's basketball program, and we just hope it continues. Good luck later this early evening, as I call it. It'll be about a 3:45 start on the broadcast, 4 o'clock tip-off, 5 o'clock in, I guess, over there in Maryland. But we're very excited about it and very excited for the opportunity for your young ladies to have a chance to advance to the Sweet 16 for the first time in your tenure. It's been a great watching you build this program, and it's been done the right way. And we just congratulate you and good luck later today. And we certainly are going to be watching very closely.
Well, thank y'all so much, and we're going to do our very best to get back home. So we appreciate you. Roll Tide.
Yes, thank you, Coach. Roll Tide. That's Christy Curry giving us some outstanding stuff heading into this big game, Scott. A great opportunity. You don't get a chance every day to come and play in Birmingham. The men certainly had that opportunity a couple years ago. We were there covering it. It was outstanding. And Auburn was there too. I mean, there's a ton of support, great crowds, and it would be a great opportunity for these young women, especially, a young lady like Sarah Ashley Barker, the daughter of Jay Barker, who won 2 state titles there. A lot of these young ladies played in that arena, and it'd be great to see. And for some other young ladies like an Ace Austin potentially to be there to watch.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And she's right. The SEC, we talked about it on the men's side, just how tough the SEC is. It's preparing a lot of these teams. Well, the SEC on the women's side, if the Big Ten did not add UCLA and USC,
they'd be hurt.
They would be hurting. The SEC by far, I think, on the women's side is probably still one of the better conferences, if not the best conference when it comes to women's basketball right now. I mean, as much as I disdain LSU and Kim Mulkey,
right?
They are talented. They just play a style of basketball that I'm not a fan of. But South Carolina, LSU, you got you got Auburn coming in there. Texas is decent. Oklahoma is good. The SEC is just as deep on the women's side as they are on the men's side.
I think it was 2 quality additions when you look at Vic Schaefer in Texas.
Yes.
They're a number 1 seed. Then you look at Oklahoma, they're a really good program. And historically as well. That was 2 quality additions on the women's side for basketball. And like you said, Dawn Staley's been kind of dominating. They've kind of become the new UConn on the women's side. And that adds to it. Kim Mulkey won a national championship a couple years ago, coming over from Baylor to LSU. So it just made the league deeper.
They've invested in the women's basketball just as much as they've invested in the men's side.
And then you made a great point about the Auburn situation where Coach Vickers, I saw that yesterday, where he takes over. And he had I thought they played Maryland really well at Norfolk State. So he will take over the Auburn program. They're trying to get them back on the winning track. And so certainly right now, the SEC women's wise is a very, very deep league.
Let's get a break in. How about we wrap up hour 1 coming up next? Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wreck on 565 eastbound just before county line. Got the number 1 lane blocked up there. That's got a major traffic jam. Had Winchester and Moores Mill reported with an injury, but they canceled Himsey on that one. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. Ask about their military, law enforcement, and senior discounts at D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hey, do you have heating and air issues as the springtime starts to roll around? Hey, there's just one name you need to know. Talent Heating and Air. #1 heating and air business right here in the Tennessee Valley.
Yeah, we're locally based. If you call, you're going to get somebody based in Huntsville. Mentioned in spring earlier, we can actually do indoor air quality products, so we can help alleviate those allergy problems you're having in your house.
All right, Thomas from Talent Heating and Air, give them the number that when they call, somebody live and local will pick up.
That's 256-503-4490.
And you can always head to the World Wide Web and find Talent Heating and Air, and you guys will still respond.
That's talenthvac.com. If you don't want to talk to a person right away, you can fill out a form on there and get scheduled for a visit.
That's Talent Heating and Air. They're live, they're local. It's Talent Heating and Air.
AL certain number 21014.
Are you trying to find a new house? Are you trying to find the right loan? The right people to do your loan? Look no further than the Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green. John Kendall, the Vice President of Mortgage with me. John, when they need a loan, and I say they, when people need a loan, it's about them.
That's right, Scott. Our whole motto is it's all about you. We're going to be okay. You're the one making the investment. We want to make sure that you're taken care of.
How do they find you?
Give us a call at 256-507-9180, or they can catch us online at bankofFrankEwing.com.
It's Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green, where they take the home loan to you and they make it all about you. Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green is an FDI insured bank, as well as an equal housing lender.
NMLS number 446707.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at sensagreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, wrapping up hour #1 here on the program. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. That was great. Christy Curry. It's always fun when a coach on game day. Now, keep in mind, she's getting ready for a chance to battle for a Sweet 16 bid on the East Coast in Maryland, waking up with some crab cakes and clam chowder, joining us on the program this morning. So that was good to get. And it is official. It is official. Iowa has agreed. Ben McCollum,
so he's
1
coming.
year at Drake. Yes,
Okay.
they've made it official this morning.
I kept looking yesterday, wondering what
They
was
were
going to
talking yesterday. They were talking yesterday.
Gotcha.
They've made it official. Iowa has agreed to take Ben McCollum from Drake. What a meteor! What a rise for him. Division II, Northwest Missouri State wins a handful of national championships there. Makes the move to Drake there in Des Moines. 1 year, gets them into the NCAA tournament. They win a first-round game, and he bolts, heads to Iowa to become the next head coach. But I tell you what, There's a lot of, we talk a lot about it when UAH is in action, and we talk to Mick a lot, and we talk to him. There is a bunch of talented coaches on the Division II level. There's some really good coaches on the Division II level that, if getting a shot on the Division I side, they would be successful. Bruce Pearl won a national championship on the Division II level. Ben McCollum has he's won a handful. Now he is in a Power 5 conference. There's a lot of coaches that have got that start on the Division II side.
Well, I mean, especially once Darion DeVries went to Indiana, I mean, this just looked like the move for Iowa, unless something, unusual happened. He did such a great job at Drake, but Drake financially and resource-wise can't compete with Iowa.
It's a private school.
Right. And so if Ben McCollum was ever going to go Power 4, you would think this is it. I mean, coaching searches and hires, a lot of times it's all about timing and circumstance. But, in Fran, McCaffrey had a really good run in Iowa City for a long time. I think it was 15 years?
Yeah, as long. He's the winningest basketball coach in Iowa history.
Even over Dr. Tom.
Over Dr. Tom.
But don't forget Lute either. People.
I love Lute.
Well, I mean, a lot of millennials are not going to realize Lute Olson was at Iowa before Arizona. Hell, some of them may not even realize he coached at Arizona.
Look, I remember when he left. I was a little kid. I remember when he left. The ramifications of that would be like, honestly,
Dennis Franchione leaving Alabama for Texas A&M.
Yes. That's exactly what it was like. It was a head scratcher. It was like, why are you doing this? Now, he had great success at Arizona. He did. And he won a national championship with it. But at the time, it was like, why are you leaving this school to go to that school? Yeah. But anyway, that was the thing with that, the thought with that. Hour one's done. My goodness, time flies. That's 60 minutes in the books. That is hard to believe. We have done 60 minutes. Phone calls next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
Alabama Crimson Tide headed to Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey for a Thursday matchup with BYU in the Sweet 16. Crimson Tide, the number 2 seed in the region, laying 4.5 against the Cougars. Duke and Arizona in the other East Region semifinal. Duke, the 9.5-point favorite. Auburn Tigers headed to Atlanta State Farm Arena for a South Region semifinal matchup. The Tigers, 7.5-point favorites over Michigan, 151.5 the total. Michigan State, 2.5-point favorites over Ole Miss in the other regional semifinal. Braves open up the season on Thursday, $1.20 favorite at San Diego. For more, go to VSIN.com.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
8:01 on a Monday morning. It's Talking Ball. We're live from Bill Penney Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. You know what? They're open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Then on Saturday, it's 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced out here at Bill Penney Toyota Sportsman Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, helping us kick off hour number 2, dedicated to providing care that improves lives. 256-881-5151 to experience the Sports Med difference, the official medical providers for the UAH Chargers and the Rocket City Trash Pandas, which are nearing first pitch day out there at Toyota Field.
I think. April 4th, I think.
Major League Baseball. Well, okay, you got opening day on Thursday. Right. You've had the Tokyo series already, but you got the green grass, the smell of the hot dogs, the popcorn, and all of that kicking off on Thursday. So,
and don't forget tomorrow in Alabama. Now we've already had Auburn come to Toyota Field.
Yes,
and they won a 6-1 game over UT Martin. Alabama and Rob Vaughn, coming off a tough series loss, they took game 1 against number 1 Tennessee 6-5, lost 10-7 on Friday, and then Saturday the Vols dominated. It was 9-2. Coach Vitello, they got the number 1 team in the country. Alabama's ranked 12th. They will take on the UNA Lions on Tuesday night, so don't forget that. That will be live at Toyota Field on Tuesday. So that's coming up, and we've had high school teams playing over there. UNA has also, had a series at Toyota Field. Of course, we saw Army and UNA play each other. So there's been a lot of activity over there getting them ready.
It'll be 73 degrees tomorrow is the high, sunny today. I mean, it's going to be a sunny day, so weather should not be an obstacle by any stretch for a game over there at Toyota Field. So that should be a fun afternoon, and I'd imagine maybe, I don't know if that game will be available. I don't know. We got to check with Mr. Steve Moulton. Maybe we can put that one on if Alabama baseball is broadcasting that. I don't know. I haven't looked.
Yeah, they are. Alabama will Roger Hoover should be back by that point in time. Now, if not, Kurt Bloom has been doing it for the University of Alabama. He did the entire series at home for the Alabama-Tennessee series. If Roger, who will be on the call today for the women, there's a possibility, I'm sure that he could be back tomorrow and do that broadcast. But if not, certainly then Kurt Bloom would be sitting in for him, and that game would be on the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can join us if you would like. Again, tip-off times for the Sweet 16. We mentioned Alabama and Auburn's Sweet 16 tip-off time. 6:09 again for Alabama. In case you are really wondering, and if you're watching it on TV, you're going to get Brian Anderson, Jim Jackson, and Allie LaForce as your play-by-play color and sideline. Now for Auburn, they will be in Atlanta. They got that night tip, which is going to be roughly around 8:39. But on the Eastern time, I mean, you're looking close to 10 o'clock. Yeah. But you're going to get Ian Eagle, Bill Rafferty, Grant Hill, and Tracy Wolfson. You get CBS's number 1 crew on that ball game in Atlanta. I am sure Auburn would have loved to have had the 6:09 tip.
Yeah.
But Ole Miss and Michigan State will get that one. And then Florida and Maryland will be a 6:39 tip on Thursday from San Francisco. They got to travel all the way out to the West Coast to the Florida Gators. And then you have Arkansas and Texas Tech from San Francisco as well. That'll be a late tip. That is going to be a 9:09 Central Time tip at approximately 9:09. That'll also be out on the West Coast as well for Arkansas and Texas Tech. And I tell you what, I mean, do you roll the dice against John Calipari in this one?
Well, I mean, look, they've already overachieved. I mean, Coach Cal, when you consider they were 0-5 at one time in the league, and they had road trips coming up and, to Kentucky and Texas. It looked like I thought they were dead in the water. I didn't think there was a chance in Hades that they were going to get into the NCAA tournament. So, I mean,
getting to the Sweet 16 is far exceeded, do you think, everything?
I think he's done a remarkable job turning this team around, especially with Thero being out now for 10-plus games.
Right.
He lost Boogie Flan back in February. So what they've done is nothing short of astonishing. I mean, I never would have thought, down the road, I was thinking they'd be lucky to make the NIT. And now that they've, done what they've done, and they'll be in the NCAA tournament in the Sweet 16, and they've helped the SEC set a record. And now I think Grant McCaslin's done a great job at Texas Tech, and they beat a really good Drake team with 31-3 or something. It was something ridiculous. But I thought Texas Tech controlled that game, kind of like Alabama controlled the game against St. Mary's. I certainly Arkansas's got a chance in the game. I would still favor Texas Tech. I think they're a little deeper, but Arkansas is playing with a lot of momentum right now. So it would not stun me at all at this point.
Let's visit the phone lines. Let's go to Bama Bino on a Monday morning. Good morning, sir.
What's up, Bama Bino?
Hey, guys.
What's going on, man?
I figured it'd be a bunch of callers this morning. I said, shit, I'll call the boys. My buddies.
It's a popular word these days.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm I love this time of year. Y'all guys know that. Ole Miss and Arkansas kind of surprised me. I'm kind of pleasantly surprised. Man, maybe we can get really, really surprise some people. It just tickled my fancy if we had 4 in there, but I think we're going to eventually play one another to where we can't get 4 in there, are they?
Well, potentially, but they still got a way to have all 4 teams reach the Final Four. But Duke is looming. Duke is playing extremely well. They were not even close to being tested in the first 2 games, and we'll see if Arizona, who Duke already went and whacked at Tucson, if they can pressure Duke at all. But that would be a situation where Alabama, if they can beat BYU, would have to face Duke. But I do think, and certainly Kentucky and Tennessee, that'll be your 3rd meeting.
Yeah.
Kentucky's trying to sweep. Tennessee beat them 3 times. I've got the Vols winning that game, but still, that's going to be a heck of a matchup. So,
and Ole Miss would somehow get through.
Yeah.
Auburn and Ole Miss would face each other for the right to go to the Final Four. So the SEC would lose one team there.
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen the bracket. So if Alabama beats BYU, we're playing Duke.
Very likely. Duke plays Arizona.
So you want to talk about something, though, that would drive everybody mad?
Yeah.
Let's just play this game. If Florida would somehow beat Maryland, which is entirely possible, and Arkansas would find a way to get through Texas Tech, Ole Miss would find a way to get through Michigan State, and Auburn gets through Michigan, you would have 4 teams in the Elite Eight on the one side of the bracket would all be SEC teams.
Which would be beautiful.
The SEC would be guaranteed at least 2 teams into the Final Four.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about something that would drive everybody nutty?
Well, and no team, the Big East had 3 in 1985 with St. John's, Villanova, and Georgetown, Bambino. But if they got all 4, it would be a record, and I would just love Stuart Mandel, Dennis Dufus, and the rest of the national media that would just put their heads through windows because they can't stand the SEC.
Even Cannell, but let me ask you.
Oh God, yeah, Danny Cannell. He's long since gone, man. The ACC, besides Duke, sucks. I mean, they were all gone by the round of 32.
Danny Cannell, when the SEC gets like this, he just kind of stays back in the shadows.
Yeah, he'll shut up for a little bit.
I like to see him squirming in them liberal tight breeches he wears, though. But he does. I mean, I'm not a Fruit Loop, but I do notice he's about 2 sizes too small and everything. But can we beat Duke?
I mean, they got to beat BYU first. BYU's really good, and it's going to be a really maybe the first team to 95. Both of them play extremely high tempos, and BYU's kind of just been lurking in the Big 12 and under the radar. They're a really good program, really good team. But if they beat BYU and get to Duke, I certainly think they can. But it will take their best game of the year. Duke's extremely talented.
Yeah.
If Duke can subdue Arizona, which they already have once, but I mean, Cooper Flagg has recovered from the ankle injury. They're playing at a very, very high level. no doubt about it. Con Knippel's one of the best freshmen in the country too, and Malawatch in the middle, the 7-footer. He's an outstanding player. They have really good role players like Sion James that they brought in from Tulane. They're just playing at a very, very high level, and I think they could potentially beat Duke, but it's certainly not going to be easy because I do think the ACC was terrible this year, but Duke was kind of the outlier, the one outstanding team that you could see. And Tyrese Proctor is just out of his mind right now. I think he shot something like 12 out of 15 from 3 in the 2 games, and he's playing as well as any that he's ever played. So Duke's playing at a very high level, and some people think they are the favorite right now, but we certainly will see. And Alabama's played a very difficult schedule. If they can find a way to subdue BYU and get there, I would certainly take my chances.
It's only the third time that Alabama and BYU have met. First time since 2017 that they've met on the hardwood. The other time before that, 1957 was the only other time. And BYU, by the way, 0-2 all time against Alabama.
Grant Nelson is surprising me. He's not hurt as bad as I was afraid he was going to be. And maybe if he keeps healthy and we can get Fowler to contribute some points and get our 3-pointer going a little bit, I think we can beat anybody, don't you guys?
Well, yeah, they certainly need to start shooting the ball a little bit better from deep, but they just need to rebound. They got to defend. If they can, beat and play with physicality, if they can do against St. like if they can follow up the St. Mary's performance with that same kind of, physicality and focus and being locked in against BYU, then I think they can beat the Cougars, but it's going to take that. The BYU is a very good team.
Yeah, well, Scott liked that. The theme of the call is Danny Cannell is too big for his britches.
There we go. There we go. Thanks for the phone call, Bama Bino.
We appreciate it, man.
All right, I guess let's visit with Jeff from the Borough. Good morning, Jeff.
What's up, Jeff? I always say Jeff dropped.
Oh, Jeff dropped.
Okay. Well, that's about the second or third time in a row that's happened, but hey, it is what it is. He was very active on X, bloviating about the SEC underachieving, but like I told him, I said, stop putting weed in your stogies and understand that when you've got 14 teams, there's going to be some teams lose, because he was talking about them setting a record for losses in the first couple of rounds. And I'm like, Jeff, they had 14 in, and they end up with 7 making the Sweet 16, which is a record, including Kentucky,
right,
who played very well. And now they're going to have a very interesting matchup with Tennessee, where they're going to be trying to beat a team of that caliber 3 times, which we'll see if they can get that done. But certainly it was a great weekend overall for the SEC.
Oh, all right. 256-576-4977. By the way, the Prudential Center where Alabama will be playing, it is in Newark, New Jersey. It opened up in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
It does serve the home for the New Jersey Devils and the New York Sirens.
Is that in WNBA?
No, it's the PWHL.
Okay, I had no idea what the hell that was.
It's home of Seton Hall as well. So it's a relatively, I guess you could say, new type of building, but that is where Alabama will be playing their Sweet 16 matchup against BYU, and we'll lay that one all out for you in the next coming days on the matchups and everything, because when you look at it, both BYU and Alabama, strength of schedule wise, they're somewhat similar.
Mm-hmm.
They're somewhat similar as far as points per game goes, as far as what they want to average. That's why a lot of people are saying, and then you even said the first one to 90 probably can get is the one to get a win in that matchup for Alabama and BYU. So we'll start breaking all that down X's and O's wise as the week kind of goes along. But I tell you what, 8:15 on a Monday, let's get a break in. When we come back, more phone calls, 256-576-4977, short segment. When we come back, as the former coaches that found themselves in trouble with the NCAA now both have new homes. We'll fill you all in on who it is and where they're at.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still got the number 1 lane blocked off on 565 eastbound just before county line. Got 231 southbound at Fabrication Road. That's in Lacey. That one sounds like a no injury. Had Winchester and Moore's Mill. That one should be getting close to being ready to clear. Reported with injury, but they canceled Himsey. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where AFS comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at afsrepair.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Tom Luganville here from my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penney Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penney perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penney Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penney Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPenneyToyota.com. Bill Penney's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, tell you what, let's get out to the phone lines real fast. Let's get in Jared right out of the break. Good morning, Jared.
Hey, good morning, guys. Sorry. How y'all doing this morning?
We're doing good, Jared. How you doing, man?
Doing good. So, it's funny. I've actually been rewatching The Sopranos on HBO, and,
Nice.
I'm traveling to New Jersey to get it done. You know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of fun.
Nice.
Weird, strange times we're in, man. We had a lackluster football year in the SEC, and now we're dominating the basketball scene. I'm not really sure what's happening, but, I guess I ain't too mad, but I am looking forward to the revival of the football down here in the South. We'll see how that goes. What y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been fun to watch the SEC kind of flex in basketball. I mean, we're used to them, and of course, a lot of people, have been kind of piling dirt on the SEC football wise because they haven't won one in a whopping 2 years. But I mean, the SEC usually comes back with a vengeance, and then you look. Scott was mentioning the women's basketball side where they're really flexing as well.
I think they're doing the same thing. Yeah,
you heard Coach Curry talking about it as well earlier. So it looks like basketball-wise on the men's and women's side, things are in really good shape. And you already know the SEC is the best league in baseball and softball, and a lot of that's geographic, but a lot of it's resources as well. So because, again, the West Coast before the Pac-12 disintegrated. They used to run softball, but really about 10 years ago, the SEC caught the Pac-12 and passed them in softball as well. So it's just a thing where right now the SEC is the most dominant, collegiate sports league in the country. I mean, I know the Big Ten's doing, well financially, and they've won the last 2 in football, but trust me, as far as, winning it every year and dominating, I know the SEC isn't and hasn't done that the last couple of years, but I still think over the passage of time, the Southeastern Conference is going to be the most powerful league in every sport, at least in the main ones that matter.
Yeah, I think so too. And Michigan and Ohio State had to have their couple of years. It happens once a decade or so for up there. So hopefully we'll get that figured out.
No doubt.
I was thinking about the tournament. Obviously, I'm not sleeping on BYU. I had a couple buddies who've been watching them, and they were like, that's
good.
the team to beat right now. They're a really tough team, and I hope we can get it done. But without thinking like I'm looking past them, if we do and we end up playing Duke, I'm kind of the mind that as good as Cooper Flagg and Duke are, I don't know if they're better than that UConn team we lost to last year. I mean, I think we've added some pieces, and at the end of the day, I think we can get it done, and hopefully that would be the case.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see the game occur. Alabama, last time they played Duke was in the Anthony Grant era in Madison Square Garden. They lost by 10, 12 points. It was a solid win for Coach K. I don't think I ever remember him playing Duke in the NCAA tournament. So that would be a tremendous opportunity to go up against a team that a lot of people think is the best in the country right now. And this Alabama team, the schedule they played, the roster they put together, it was to win games like that, but got to get by BYU first. But I agree with your point, Jared.
Hey, and last thing real quick, if you don't mind, let me just ask, you got any insider information on that QB battle down there in T-Town? Because I'm hearing Mr. Mack is really turning up down there.
Yeah, I heard he had a good week, and he looked good in the open practice at the coaches' clinic on Saturday. I definitely think it's a 3-way battle between Ty Simpson, Mack, and of course Keelan Russell. But the first official scrimmage will happen this weekend, and then they'll have one on the 4th, and then they'll have a day. But yeah, it's definitely heating up down there, and Austin Mack has done some good things. You got some good intel there.
All right, we got to get a break in, because when we come back, speaking of open practices and everything, Auburn has a busy day down on the Plains. It's pro day, kind of leading into spring practices. Remember, they've kind of have not had their official spring practices, but they've been doing some walkthrough situations last week. Now they're kicking it off this week. Jason Caldwell will join us on the other side as we talk about all of that.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Tuscaloosa, we live by the blue-collar basketball motto. Stepping back, deep three, hard work. 2-on-1, driving, stepping through, stop shot, got it to go. Teamwork. Playing the song for the champions of the Southeastern Conference. Join us for every game right here on your home for Alabama basketball.
Listen to Alabama basketball all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at SensaGreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
Hello, listeners. My name is Jonathan Dunwoody, and I own Minuteman Press. We are a full-service print shop that is locally owned and operated. I have personally been handling direct mail for over 17 years and have a great relationship with the USPS. We are the only print shop in the area that is listed as a print provider on their website and the only printing franchise that can use their logo as our partner on marketing materials. We can help from conception to design, print, and delivery to the post office. And with our easy, secure online payment option, you don't even need to leave your office. Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hey, I'm on vacation every single day.
There is no time for a vacation right now. If you're following Auburn, you've got Auburn basketball. The good news is you can actually stay in Auburn for spring practice. You got pro day today. You got spring practice starting tomorrow. And then you got a couple days of spring because Hugh Freeze is going to get it all in. I mean, they're whamming, bamming this thing in there. And then you can make that short drive over to the ATL on Friday, and then you can get Auburn in their Sweet 16 matchup. So no need for a vacation, no time for a vacation. The good news is you can drive and hit it all.
Well, and our next guest is one of our favorites. He does a great job for Auburn Undercover, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He's going to be very busy today covering Auburn Pro Day. Also will be covering Auburn baseball and football this week and basketball. A lot going on. As he said, no rest for the weary, and that's Jason Caldwell, and he's joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jason, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
We're doing well, man. I know you're going to be real busy. Yep. And just real quick, your initial thoughts on Auburn's Sweet 16 run. I thought they played a really good second half against, Creighton. I thought Dylan Cardwell was tremendous defensively, both on the perimeter and inside. And then I thought Denver Jones and of course, Jahad Pettiford really led the way. Still solid from Jonai Broom, but those two guards really were the key in beating Creighton in that second half.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, here's the thing. Sometimes you just have to withstand a run. You have to withstand a wave, whatever it is. And that Creighton team is capable of doing that. And they did it early on. I mean, Auburn didn't play terrible defense. You look up and somebody's made 11 of 19 threes. I think that was already in the second half. You go, okay. We talked to Bruce Pearl after the game and said, look, I felt great at halftime. Auburn was down 2. He's like, and honestly, you think about it, like, I'm not certain Creighton could have played much better than Auburn did. Auburn didn't play bad. But sometimes you face a team that's just playing great. And they were playing great early, but you withstood it. Got some big baskets from Chad Baker-Mazara early to kind of, help you steady it there. But, yeah, I thought, really good performance for this team. They made some big shots. And listen, sometimes there's matchups that don't work. Ryan Kalkbrenner is a big guy with a big body and long. And it's not the greatest matchup for Janai Broom. So Auburn decided, look, okay, we're still giving him touches, but they played through the guards more Saturday. And honestly, I thought it helped give them more flow to the offense than they've had in the last couple of weeks.
And it looked like everybody that stepped onto the floor locked in from yes, and you mentioned the runs, and Creighton's a good basketball team, and that's going to happen in the tournaments. Teams are going to go on runs. But I think everybody that stepped onto the floor for Auburn was locked in, and with Auburn, it starts on the defensive side. And I think once they figured out Creighton's game plan, they were locked in defensively.
Yeah, it's just it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic when you wrap up a title in the sport where a couple of losses. I mean, it don't really matter to you at the end of the year. It didn't matter to this Auburn team, but it's easy to lose your edge when that happens. And I think we saw this Auburn team lose its edge a little bit, and you have to find a way to get it back. And for Auburn, the way to get it back was to for some of these older guys, some of the veterans, to say, look, this is not good enough. And Dylan Cardwell was one of them. And Stephen Pearl was one of them. Sometimes it takes a little bit of that, going, hey, look, this is not acceptable. And I don't think it was a lack of wanting to win or not caring. But I think sometimes you go, we're good enough. Oh, we're good enough to, we don't have to do this. No, the reason you are where you were is because of the things you did, the little things. And when you forget those, it changes everything about you. And so I think for Auburn, they had to get back to doing that stuff. And I thought they did a better job of that Saturday for sure.
Yeah, and then the only concern going forward, and I know he didn't play at all in the game on Saturday. You didn't see any of Chris Moore after the knee injury, and then Chad Baker-Mazar did hurt his hip, and he missed the majority of the second half. Yet Auburn's done this all year with guys being out of the lineup with Jonah as well. They had guys step up and play like Chaney Johnson gave them 25 really good minutes, I thought, against Creighton. But I would think one of the biggest keys is going to be especially getting Chad Baker-Mazar healthy.
Yeah, and I think he fell on his hip, bruised it up a little bit. I would guess that with a full week, that probably be able to be good to go. But it's a full week and another almost full day by the time you tip off in Atlanta. What I guess will be closer to 10 o'clock local time in Atlanta. You're gonna have plenty of time to get prepared. So I would expect him to be fine. And honestly, Chris Moore, they put him in a boot right after the game on Thursday.
Right.
He's moving around a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see him be closer to ready to go as well.
Yeah, you mentioned that tip-off time, Brian. It's going to be late, but I guess the only good thing for Auburn fans, I imagine there'll still be a ton of them making the drive over there, is that the game is on Friday night.
Yeah, the issue is when Ole Miss makes it, then all of a sudden and hey, Michigan State are two massive fan bases as well.
Yeah.
I looked this morning and 2 tickets for State Farm Arena Saturday night. The lowest price tickets you can find is about $750 a piece.
That's a stark comparison to what it was in Lexington, where he could get in for $50.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a tough one because again, Ole Miss hasn't been in a while. Then you have those two massive fan bases, and of course Auburn. I think Auburn fans, I think we're hopeful, and a lot of them decided, hey, I'm going to buy Atlanta and not make the trip to Lexington yet, and hoping that you'll be in round 2. So the ones that did that were smart because they got in at a much better price than what to take today to buy tickets. And so, it's not going to hurt the ticket market. There's not many left, to be quite honest, and there'll be some people that want to be there and to check this one out Saturday. So I don't think it's going to impact things a whole lot. Come Saturday night.
What is your initial thoughts on the matchup with Michigan? They're playing really well, and they have Golden, they have Wolf, they have a couple of 7-footers, and this is the most fascinating thing for me. Trey Donaldson's become a huge part of their team as a point guard, and we know his history with Auburn.
Yeah, no, this is a really interesting game because there's a ton of storylines. Obviously, you point to Trey Donaldson, a guy that played a couple of years at Auburn, and these guys know well. He's playing really good basketball. The athleticism was never a question for Trey Donaldson. He was a guy that was a football prospect too, and you look at him now, and he's playing well. Michigan is a team that has a lot of confidence. Won the Big Ten tournament. Now they continued on the roll, and so but Danny Wolf is a guy that was on that Yale team that beat Auburn last year in the NCAA tournament. So you have that going for it. Namari Burnett, former Alabama player, is a guard on this Michigan team.
Mm-hmm.
And KT Harrell is an assistant coach on this Michigan team.
Oh, wow.
So,
Didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he was at Florida Atlantic and made the move up. And so So he's on the coaching staff at Michigan too. So yeah, as many storylines as you could possibly have for this Auburn-Michigan game. I think it's a very similar game. I think this is a guard game. The bigs for each team probably neutralize each other a little bit. And so then it becomes, which guards can do it. And, Michigan, the one thing for them, they turned it over some. And so for Auburn, can you create the turnovers? Can you do some of those things? I think that'll be a key for this one. And then, rebounding. Michigan out-rebounded Texas A&M, and that doesn't happen very often. And so you start to look at this one going, you're going to have to go after the glass and make sure you rebound well.
Well, and a lot of storylines with that basketball. But Jason, you've also got storylines to write today as well, because you, in a matter of minutes, will be inside Auburn's pro day.
Yeah, pro day going on today, and most of the guys in pro day situations that you look at as going potential NFL guys have done it at the combine, and that'll be the case for Auburn today. When you look at Darquez Hunter and Keandre Lambert-Smith and Eugene Asante, and those guys had really good NFL combine performances. Today will be the times for some guys that are trying to put their name on a map of an NFL team. So have that going on this morning throughout the day. This afternoon we'll get interviews with Auburn assistant coaches and a few players as spring football rolls towards full team practices tomorrow. We'll also talk to Auburn's new women's basketball coach Larry Vickers this afternoon. And then we'll have practice viewing window tomorrow morning for Auburn football and some interviews. And I laugh and say to people when they ask me about, during the fall, during football season, going, I know you've been busy. I was like, no, this is the busiest time of the year, and it's not even close. We have thrown everything into the pot, and we're making some sort of soup, and we'll see how it tastes in a few weeks.
Well, we will, but I'm going to congratulate you too, man. I mean, we both have a passion for SEC baseball, and you've had a chance because Auburn's had so much going on with the basketball on the women's and the men's side, especially the men making this deep run. You've had a chance with Brad Law to do some color on Auburn baseball. They've won their first 2 SEC series, so a strong start for Butch Thompson. A good series win over Kentucky, and they even got a chance to watch Auburn on Saturday night finish off Creighton, and then, of course, the dramatic ending to that series against Vanderbilt. But a good start for Auburn baseball.
Yeah, it is, and it's just survive and advance. It's always been the way it's been in football, survive and advance, and baseball and softball have been that way. And now it's that way in basketball. It hasn't always been that way. In baseball, it is. You look at it and you go, man, if you just win series and move forward, that's the key. And they've done that through the first 2 weeks. And you look at this league and go, how difficult it is. Texas A&M was the preseason number 1 team in the country, and they sit here 0-6 after 2 weeks. Florida was the top 5 team in the country. They're 0-6 after 2 weeks. It's hard. And now you look at Auburn, you got Georgia, Alabama, and Georgia, Alabama, LSU up the next 3 weeks, and go, hey, don't pat yourself on the back because it's only going to get tougher from here moving forward. But good start for them to win the first 2 series.
No doubt. Well, we look forward to your coverage from Pro Day later today, and, of course, spring football, meeting Larry Vickers. But let everybody know how to follow your coverage at Auburn Undercover and all that you guys have going on over there.
Yeah, like I said, lots of things going on. AuburnUndercover.com, part of the 24/7 network. Can follow us on all the socials at YouTube at Auburn Undercover, Instagram, all that stuff as well. And find me on Twitter at ITATJason.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jason.
Guys, appreciate it.
Jason Caldwell, a very, very busy man. I mean, look, and he's right there.
It's the busiest time of the year. Well, not even really football season.
Well, because football season is all controlled.
Right.
Football season is once you get into the routine of everything, practice schedules, all that. Games are played on Saturday. Press conferences are on Monday.
Right.
And I mean, nothing changes. Football is everything. This here, you've got Sweet 16 games going on. You got baseball games going on, pro day, spring practices, coaches adjust schedules and everything. I mean, this is truly the busiest time. If you are in that side of work, it's truly the busiest. Then nothing compares to it. Not one bit.
And then the thing too is that when you make these runs in the NCAA tournament, there's even more media opportunities,
right?
Because the coaches and the players speak to the media, it seems like almost every day. So you have those media opportunities like a Nathan King. He's probably he might pit stop in his apartment or house just for a couple of minutes, but then you got to get to Atlanta.
You're right back on.
Yeah, and you're right back on duty.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things with this NCAA basketball tournament right now, and we touched on it.
Yeah.
We touched on it in the very beginning, but we touched on it from an aspect that right now the SEC is controlling. I mean, it's 7 teams in the Sweet 16, the Big Ten, the ACC. You know, the ACC has one. I mean, they got Duke. I mean, that's what they're clinging their hopes to. But the power conferences are representing the whole thing. What makes the NCAA tournament good, and this is where the nickname March Madness comes from, is the fact that the lower seeds create this entertainment. They create the suspense because they get the upsets. You get upsets here, you get upsets there. Is obviously this is what it is this year. It's not a case of where it's been every year, but the way things are trending in college sports, the Power Fives got the money. The Power Fives have the resources. The Power Fives can go out right now with high NIL stuff. They can go and recruit. Think about this. From Florida Gulf Coast or FAU's, I think it's, from FAU's Final Four team, okay? The top 3 scores from their Final Four team in 2022 and 2023, they're all playing in the Sweet 16, but playing for 3 different teams.
Arkansas, Michigan, and Florida.
Yes. And so with NIL and the way everything is going, this big money, is the teams coming in, these lower seed teams, pulling off these upsets, getting to the Sweet 16, is that going to become extinct? Is this year the outlier, or is it going to be something we're going to see next year and the year after and the year after?
It's going to be harder, but it's still going to happen. I mean, if it wasn't for Derek Queen banking in a really tough shot, I mean, we got Nedved and Colorado State and Michael Bourne, Coach Mike Bourne's son, Bo, playing in the Sweet 16.
Mike Bourne. Bourne. I met Mike Bourne in 1992.
Did you?
Because when I went to Grandview and in AIA basketball, it was Nick Nurse was the head coach at Grandview.
That's right.
Mike Bourne was his assistant coach.
Oh wow! So that it goes all the way back to then. Now I met Coach Bourne when he with the Huntsville Flight in year 2 with Ralph Lewis, and got to know him. And Bo was, I believe, born. No pun intended there. I remember his birth when they were here. So that's what's so crazy about how fast the years go by. Is he's had 2 sons, and they were both basketball players, really good players, and Bo had played 4 years for your alma mater, Northern Iowa, and then moved on to play for Nedved at Colorado State, and they nearly go to the Sweet 16, but a heck of a finish. And Derek Queen, boy, that Montverde team was pretty good, Scott. Derek Queen, the center, the wing was Cooper Flagg, and the power forward was Asa Newell of Georgia. And then Robert Wright was the point guard. He played for Baylor and had a really good NCAA tournament. And then some cat named Liam McNeely was the 2 guard, and he had 22 points in that loss for UConn against the Gators.
Yeah, so
pretty stacked team there for Kevin Boyle, who, by the way, is leaving Montverde to go to a prep school in Ohio now.
Yeah, he's going to go to the Spire Institute.
So, okay.
Which I was there.
Okay.
I was there.
Tell me about
so
Spire.
Last year I was in Spire because that's where the NCAA swimming was at Spire Institute. And I walked around the entire Spire Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it is the northern version.
Yeah.
It's the northern version of IMG.
Gotcha. So here we go.
Is what it is. I mean, everything is housed. Kids can stay. It's out in the middle of nowhere, really. There's nothing around it except for.
It was the same kind of thing with Montverde, though. When Huntsville High went there, and I'd never been on Montverde's campus out in Orlando. It's in the middle of a neighborhood, and then all of a sudden you just see this campus, and you're like, so this is Montverde. But it's immaculate.
Spire is relatively new with a lot of their facilities, and let me tell you, it's a heck of a facility. I mean, they have an indoor track facility that rivals what we have at the Crossplex.
Gotcha.
And that is their high school. That is the Spire Institute. I mean, they
So
rival.
What you're telling me was within a year, Spire is going to be one of the top 5 teams in the country.
They very well could be.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, they've got the facilities.
Have they already been playing basketball, or are they just starting it?
No, I think they've been playing everything.
Okay.
They're just.
I just
they're
wondered
just now.
how new you were talking
They're
about.
starting to put everything together.
Yeah, taking the next
step. Yes,
Right.
the facilities have been there.
Mhm.
They're now just starting to put everything and taking the next
Well, if you got
steps.
Kevin Boyle, you're definitely trying to take the next step.
Yes.
St. Patrick's in New Jersey, then Montverde, and now Spire. So
Yeah,
here we go.
Spire is probably his best. I mean, as far as facilities go, Spire is going to be his best stop as far as facilities
Well, I got
and everything that they have.
Watching these 5 stars at Spire because that's where they're going to be.
You know, I can tell you there is a great little pizza place across the street from
I knew
Spire.
this. Somebody was watching us on YouTube and said, "Were you amused at what he was saying about food, or were you starting to get angry?" I was like, "No, I wasn't angry at all. I'm actually just. I said Scott is the.
I can tie everything back to food.
That's exactly what I told him. I said, no matter what city I ask about, I'm just always amazed. I'm just taking it all in. Like, okay, I knew you were going to come up with something like that. I know a pizza place. I'm like, I knew you were going to say
It's
something.
one of these pizza places where you go in and you buy the individual ones, but you can make it whatever you want. They make it for kind of like the Subway of pizzas.
And then what I tried to explain to this person was, I was like, whenever we go on a road trip as a station, I said, Scott's always in charge of our restaurant excursion. So he always finds a great place for us to go.
Yeah.
So there you go. I said, because he knows them all. I didn't tell him about the Arkansas situation, which was very interesting. I only thing I did tell him was
the Italian restaurant where it was
the Italian restaurant.
Where it was, just pull off the interstate just right here.
I forgot about the and we almost missed it.
There it is.
And then we get home at 2 a.m. with Tokyo had to get us home.
He had to get us for whatever reason. I don't know.
We can make it. That's all.
We
It
can make it.
It felt like Cannonball Run or Smokey and the Bandit. It's like we were in a contest. Like, we're gonna make it.
3 a.m. Yeah, great. We made it. Woo!
And then I think both of us, you and I, were like dead for 2 days.
Yeah, it's like,
oh my
nobody.
God.
Yeah, I can make it home, but what point does this serve? We're gonna blow right through the day anyway. We've blown through an hour and 45 minutes of this extravaganza.
We have.
I've got to get a break in. We'll wrap it all up with your tomorrow's headlines next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your Your shingles, we can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
But you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and this is What's Happening. Be sure and download our app. Just search 977 ESPN in your Google Marketplace or your Apple Store, depending on your device, so you can take us wherever you might go. And you can also check out our latest zone deals. Head over to our website, 977ESPN.com. The top left banner reads, "Savings never tasted so good." Click on that, then enter in the big zone deals store for half-off zone deals of Lawler's Barbecue, Sea Salt, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bubby's Diner, Corlejos Mexican Grill, Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, Divergence, Full Moon Barbecue, Bigfoot Little Donuts, Hickory Store Barbecue, Good Company Cafe, Apple Lane Farms, the Decatur location, and rounds of golf at Cherokee Ridge Golf Course and Gunter's Landing. And that's what's happening.
Got a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode this morning. A lot of folks got caught in that problem out on 565. Had a wreck in the number 1 lane there just before county line. That really backed traffic up. Had one at Winchester and Moore's Mill that reported with injury. They ended up canceling Himsey, and they were waiting on a trooper, 231 southbound at Fabrication Road. That's in Lacey. That one should be about wrapped up. RESPECT is coming. Shoal Scholar Dollars is bringing the celebration of the music of Aretha Franklin to UNA on Monday, March 31st. Tickets at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond, 256-576-4977. That's the number you can join us if you would like as we count down to the end of this extravaganza that we have put together. We've been live here from Bill Penney Toyota. We talked a lot about the Sweet 16, getting everybody ready for that, getting everybody ready for basketball and staying with that basketball. Both Texas and NC State both have new head coaches. The NC State job is probably the worst kept secret in any of a coaching search you've seen over the last, I don't know, 5 years maybe, but Will Wade, it is official. Will Wade is going to NC State. And then Texas, we knew they were going to part with Rodney Terry. It was just a matter of when the school made it official. And they made it official, a day ago or whatever, that they officially parted ways with Rodney Terry. But we all know that decision. He and Rodney Terry, Texas and Rodney Terry had separated. Yeah, they'd been separated for a week now, or ever since Texas left or bowed out
in the first four.
Yeah, that move. But now Sean Miller, who, by the way, was at Arizona.
He was.
And remember, both Will Wade and Sean Miller got in trouble with NCAA rules and infractions and big-ass offers and all that other stuff.
They were the two central figures in that investigation.
Yes, and everything that happened while they were at respective LSU and Arizona is now completely legal in the NCAA. I mean, you can go out and do all of that stuff now. But both of them back among the Power Five.
Yeah, Will Wade going to NC State, 6-year contract. It looks like Sean Miller, I don't think it's been officially announced, but they were hammering out the last part of the details. It's been reported by several news outlets that he will be the next coach, including the Austin American-Statesman and the Houston Chronicle. And, of course, our good friend Kirk Bowles is right in the middle of that, keeping up with who Texas was going to hire. Sean Miller was nearly the pick when they decided to elevate Rodney Terry. They're going back to the well there. They did kick the tires, Rick Pitino, Nate Oates, et cetera. That wasn't going to happen. So Texas will hire Sean Miller. And then your boys, you're wearing your Iowa gear today.
Yeah, Ben McCollum, 1 year at Drake.
1 year at Drake after dominating on the Division II level at Northwest Missouri, right?
Yep.
And so he
won a handful of national championships there. And, I mean, he went toe-to-toe with a lot of the good ones. I mean, he beat down Nova a couple times, I believe, en route to get those national titles. But still, 1 year on going from Division
31 wins, though.
Yeah,
going to Drake.
Division
I mean,
II.
He did a great job. So I think it was a good pick for Iowa.
I think so.
After Darian DeVries went to Indiana. And so really Villanova is the best job out there. What's going to happen with the Wildcats? Virginia, they hired Ryan Odom from VCU, Dave Odom's son. So that job is filled as well.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our Monday. Don't forget, Alabama women's basketball comes your way later today. Women's basketball comes your way later today as they take on Maryland there in College Park. We'll have that for you. And then, I don't know, I think the drive is going to try to go from Corrales.
Probably, hey, Coach.
You can now do more without it costing you more. Alabama's attractions have come together to offer the all-in-one ticket that downloads to your mobile device. No matter how many attractions listed on the ticket you see during the time span you bought,